Hello, Stratford School. Mrs. Kerivan here. So we've been learning about bees. So we all know that bees use flowers for their food. They go collect the nectar and the pollen to feed themselves and their babies. But did you know that bees also need some water? So when they're out looking for food, they're looking for water too. A lot of times they'll find that either in the morning dew on the grass and plants, or after a rainfall, or in a puddle or a bird bath even they'll visit to get some water. Especially in the summertime when it's really hot and dry out, they're looking for sources of water. So today we're going to be making a bee waterer. It's very simple. You can use recycled materials and things from around your house to do this. You can use either a plate or a bowl or a pie plate. I just got some recycling, just a little container out of my recycling. So you need a container that can hold a little bit of water. You need some various rocks for the bee to land on. We don't want our bee to drown in our waterer, so we need some rocks for them to come land on. And some pretty things would be nice in there too that they can land on. Like I got some shells and some cool rocks. Just some cool little things that were out in my garden. And you also need a chunk of moss. So we're putting the moss in there because the bees actually smell the water. When they're out looking for water, they're not using their eyes to find it. They're actually smelling for it. Because usually when there's a puddle or a swamp or a stream or something, it actually smells kind of earthy. It smells like dirt. So if we add a little bit of moss to our waterer, that'll help them find it. Okay, so what you got to do for this project is first put some rocks on the bottom of your container. And then put your chunk of moss on top of those rocks because we don't want to end up drowning our moss. So we want the moss kind of on top. And then just add your pretty rocks. Like I like this cool rock that I found. I'm going to put that one in there. And then I've got these other fancy ones. So put your rocks in there, your little landing spots. Your rocks or your shells, whatever you got. So there's mine. Looks kind of pretty. And then, oh, there's one more. And then you just kind of add enough water just to cover the bottom of the tray, maybe a little bit higher. You don't want to drown your moss, but you want the bees to be able to come land on a rock and get a sip of water. So don't fill it all the way. Fill it just a little bit. Let's see, I don't want to tilt and have all the water come out, but you can kind of see just a little bit of water. And then remember to come back and refill it whenever it starts to evaporate. And once you put it in your garden, stick it next to some flowers, somewhere around your house where a bee might be looking for some food. Put the waterer there too. And the bee will actually, once it finds your waterer, it will actually go back to the hive and tell the rest of the bees where to find water. They do something called a waggle dance. They'll dance around inside the hive, and that dance is actually telling the other bees which direction to go and how far to go to find food or water. So if you move your waterer, they're not going to be able to find it, the rest of the hive. So make sure once you put your waterer in one spot, make sure you leave it there so that the rest of the hive knows where to go to find that water. And bees will actually go 3 or 4 miles to find food and water when they really need it. Usually they only go 1 to 2 miles, but when they're really thirsty or hungry and can't find any food near their hive, they can go up to 5 miles to look for food. So make sure once you put your food out, your water out in your garden, make sure you leave it there for them, okay? So have fun taking care of the bees.